Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for that warm welcome and introduction, Christy. How's everybody enjoying the conference so far? Good? Me too. Good. And I just sat in on some amazing panels, and as they're talking, I'm thinking, yes, that's exactly what I'm going to be reinforcing up here today. So, as you all know, I am the brand teacher, so I'm going to start with a question, because I'm a teacher. That's what we do. When was the last time you did something for the first time? Now really think about that. When was the last time you did something for the first time? It might be hard to remember, because it's probably been a while. Now that quote is attributed in some places to John Maxwell, and in many places to nobody in particular, but I remember hearing it for the first time back in 2003 from a woman named Sally Edwards. Sally Edwards is a professional triathlete. She is an author, and she's a fitness expert. And in the early 2000s, she was in Orlando promoting a women's beginner triathlon series sponsored by Danskin, the dancewear company. You all remember Danskin, right? Way back in the day. And a friend and coworker of mine who had gotten into running 5K races came to me, her 37-year-old, non-athletic, non-swimmer friend, and said, hey, we should go to an information session about this triathlon. Now, since I was a non-swimmer, that was a little bit of a problem, but peer pressure being what it is, I said, well, I'll go to the information session with you. So we go to this information session, and we're sitting listening to Sally Edwards talk about this triathlon, which, by the way, if you don't know, a triathlon is swim, bike, run. So she's talking about this triathlon to this group of about 20 women, and we're listening to her talk, but the whole time she's talking, I'm not hearing a single word she's saying. I didn't hear anything, because all I'm thinking to myself is, I am not doing a triathlon. That's not going to happen. No, no, no. I'm just thinking, I'm 37 years old, and I can't swim a single stroke. I mean, I grew up in Pensacola. I couldn't swim. I lived near the beach. I couldn't swim. So I'm thinking to myself, nope, not going to happen. But I will never forget when I heard Sally Edwards ask this room full of women of all ages, shapes, and sizes, when was the last time you did something for the first time? And you guys, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I couldn't think of the last time I had done something for the first time. I had gotten complacent. I had gotten complacent with where I was personally, complacent with where I was professionally, complacent with where I was physically, just plain old complacent. Now, I know we've all been there before. We've all gotten complacent before. You know, I had set what I thought were ambitious goals for myself, and I had achieved them. So my parents never went to college, but I had gone to college, so I got my bachelor's degree and my master's degree. So college education, check. I had a very challenging career with a national land development company in marketing. So solid career, check. And by that time, I had been married for 14 years. Married, check. I literally checked all the boxes, right? I met all expectations. But I could not remember the last time that I did something that pushed me outside of my self-imposed limits and beyond expectations. I was complacent. Now, if it makes you feel better when you talk about yourself, you can call it comfortable, but it's complacency, really. It's when we all experience it. Who here has read the book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks? Raise your hand if you've read that book. Oh, not a lot of people. Okay, so if you haven't read that book, I highly recommend it. In The Big Leap, Gay Hendricks talks about this idea of our zone of excellence. And he says that our zone of excellence is this place where we spend most of our time, because in our zone of excellence, we know what we're doing. We're doing something that comes easy to us, it comes naturally to us, we hardly even have to give it any thought, and we're still really good at it. So it's our zone of excellence. We spend a lot of time there. Now, I don't know about you, but I spend a lot of my time in my zone of excellence, a lot. I know what I'm doing, it's easy, it barely takes any effort on my part, and I can still wow people with my ideas, my work, what I create. It's a good old zone of excellence, that good old comfort zone. We all know the comfort zone, right? But let me ask you, what does this comfortableness cost us? What does it cost us? Every day, every year, across our entire life. What does it cost us to stay comfortable like that? More and bigger accomplishments, right? More reward? Having amazing and life-changing experiences? Living out our higher purpose? Finding our passion and standing in our true power? You're not going to find any of those amazing parts of life by staying comfortable and complacent. Now, I didn't know it at the time, but signing up for that first triathlon, it would set the tone for many more things I would do in my life that I don't think would have happened had it not been for a catalyst that pushed me past those self-imposed limits so that I could really see my power. At the age of, I started out doing short distance triathlons, and then I did many, many short distance triathlons, and then I did 6 half Ironman triathlons. But, I know, right? But that whole time, and this was over the course of 10 years, that whole time I said to myself, I will never, ever do an Ironman triathlon. Never, so never say never. But I said, I will never do an Ironman triathlon because that would just be crazy. I'm going to stay right here in my comfort zone where I know what I'm doing with half Ironman triathlons. But what happens is when you hang around with triathletes a lot and you hear them start to talk about this thing called the Ironman, which is like the holy grail of triathlon, you start to kind of feel their passion for it. You see them get excited about it. You start to see people like yourself who've done it. And then you start to think, well, maybe I could do that too. Maybe. And so at the age of 47, I signed up to compete in the 2013 Florida Ironman Triathlon. Well, thank you. So 47, I signed up to compete in this race. And that's what it looked like on race morning. Thank you. Yes, I know, right? That's pretty scary, don't you think? I know. So a storm had come through the day before the race, so it made the water, I'm going to say a little choppy, but it's probably a little bit more than a little choppy. Also, there's about 2,500 athletes getting in the water all at one time, just in a big mass of people, and about 80% of those are men. Bigger, stronger, faster than me men who are probably going to swim right over the top of me. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm short. So as somebody who's only 5 feet tall and I have really short arms, I'm a slow swimmer because that's just how swimming works. So if you have short arms, you're not going to swim fast. I'm also someone who has suffered from anxiety most of my life, and I don't know if you agree with me, but I think this is a pretty anxiety-producing situation right there, right? Yeah, okay. The most important point, though, is that I also only learned to swim 10 years before this. So I only had 10 years of swimming experience for the longest, scariest, roughest swim of my entire life. I had done many triathlons up to this point, and nearly 100% of those had taken place in flat, glassy lakes. So this was more than just a little bit intimidating. Now, as I was standing on the shore waiting for the swim to start, I looked at the water, this rough water. I looked at all those triathletes, and I thought to myself, can I get in that water? I mean, look at it. Can I really do this? Can I really complete this swim? But you know what? Standing on that shore, looking at the athletes and the water, and then waiting for what I knew would be the start song, which was Panama by Van Halen, because the race takes place in Panama City Beach, Florida. It's just a little bit cliche. And waiting for the start cannon to go off, I had the most amazing sense of calm come over me. It was so unexpected and unbelievable. So I'm standing on the shore feeling the most calm I had ever felt before a triathlon swim, even the ones in the flat, glassy lakes, which are easy. So why, though? Why does that happen? How did someone like me, about to take on the toughest swim of my life, and frankly, the toughest physical challenge of my life, feel like everything was going to be okay in that swim? How did I not just turn around and run in the other direction, which honestly I think it would have been perfectly acceptable because it's pretty frightening. I will tell you how that happened. It was confidence. But it was not your typical cliche, you can do anything you put your mind to confidence, and think good thoughts and good things will happen type of confidence. It wasn't that at all. This was something totally different. And it was based on something much more specific and tangible in my mind, heart, and soul. This confidence was based on some decisions that I had made that allowed me to claim my power. It was based on decisions that I made to tell my entire audience, so friends, family, other triathletes, and honestly just anybody who would listen to me, that I had this big goal. And then by doing that, I attracted the right people and opportunities to me to serve as a catalyst, to hold up a mirror, to show me my power before I could even see it for myself. I was first encouraged by that 5K running friend, the one who got me into triathlons in the first place. She held up a mirror for me so that I could see that I could do athletic things. And then, suffering from anxiety and needing to get over a severe fear of open water swimming, I signed up for a women's beginner triathlon training group, and the coach of that group held up a mirror so that I could see that I could complete open water swims without panicking and drowning. Then when I signed up for Ironman Florida, I hired a triathlon coach who specialized in Ironman distance races. He held up a mirror for me so that I could see that I could be an Ironman. I even ended up holding up my own mirror for myself. As I said, I'm someone who has suffered from anxiety most of my life. My anxiety comes from childhood probably because I grew up in domestic violence and I was in a verbally and emotionally abusive relationship for 6.5 years as a teenager and young adult. So if you know anything about abuse and domestic violence, you can imagine that it can cause lifelong anxiety, among other things. So over the course of the years of my life, I have developed this little self-talk routine that kind of helps calm me down. And before a triathlon swim that looks like that, it goes something like this. I say to myself, look at all those triathletes. Are they really going to let someone drown? No, because that would be terrible PR, wouldn't it? I mean, terrible. Also, look at all the lifeguards. They have so many lifeguards in the water, you couldn't even believe it. There's lifeguards in boats, on kayaks, on paddle boards, and they are amazing swimmers. And in fact, in the Ironman, they were Navy SEALs. Okay, they're not going to let you drown. That's not going to happen. And also, you've completed many open water swims before. You've never once felt like you were going to drown. Not one time. It was fine then, and it will be fine again this time. That is how I knew everything would be okay. I was actually claiming back my power. Now, I know that getting outside your comfort zone, actually I want to show you my little mantra on my mirror too. I even wrote a mantra on my bathroom mirror about 6 months out from the Florida Ironman. I looked at this every single day for 6 months, actually multiple times a day, for 6 solid months to tell myself that I am a great swimmer, I am a strong swimmer, and I can do this. Every day, drilled into my head. This is how I held up my own mirror to claim my power over complacency, fear, and anxiety. So sometimes we need to hold up a mirror for ourselves or have someone else hold it up for us. Now, I know that getting outside your comfort zone can be scary and challenging. I get that. So what can we do? How can we push past that comfort zone so that we can claim our power and find our purpose and claim our passion? What can we do to build the type of confidence that lets us see our power reflected back to us? Because that's what's going to help us do that thing. Well, we can do something. We can do anything that pushes us outside our comfort zone. Now, that could be a mental challenge, but it could also be a physical challenge. And a little secret, it does not have to be something that is connected to your ultimate goal, like let's say a professional goal. That thing that pushes you outside your comfort zone could be the thing that pushes you in so many other areas of your life, like Ironman did for me. I started out running 5K races, but the 5K wasn't the thing. It was the road to it, but it wasn't uncomfortable enough. That push outside my comfort zone had to be something really uncomfortable. And it didn't happen overnight either. It had taken me 10 years of building up in distance, training, endurance, and suffering to get to that point. And it was something that had a progression, preparation, and a clear line of demarcation and celebration associated with it. Now, you all know I'm a personal brand strategist, so you might be saying to yourself, well, what does this have to do with personal branding? Kind of strange. Well, doing something so far outside your comfort zone that pushes you in so many ways, it becomes part of your identity, part of who you are, part of your personal brand DNA. So I started out doing 5K races, but when I crossed the finish line at Ironman, Florida, the announcer said, Diane Diaz, you are an Ironman. Oh, there's no sound. That's me crossing the finish line. Well, thank you. Oh, there we go.
You guys are amazing. Thank you, Dave.
Now, maybe you like to write. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Maybe you like to write. But when you publish that first book, you are an author. So let me ask you, is anybody in here an author? Yes? Woohoo! Right. Good. Thank you. Maybe you like taking salsa lessons. But when you get on stage and perform for the first time, you are a performer. So is anybody in here a singer, dancer, anything? Yes? Yes? Okay, good. Good, good, good. Personal branding is about harnessing your own power to take you anywhere you want to go in any part of your life. It's that mirror that's held up so that you can see your power reflected back to you. And it is a reflection of your passion and your purpose. It also positions you so that other people can see what you can do, but you have to see it first. You have to believe it first so that you can feel your power. Now, there was a lot of talk about power all throughout the day that I heard, so I like to emphasize that point. I feel truly powerful from Ironman, Florida. I can't tell you how much power that gave me. It's beyond anything I could have imagined. But when I listen to some women talk, and I hear this in lots of circles, I hear a lot of self-doubt, a lot of lack of confidence, a lot of imposter syndrome. And anybody identify with any of those things, right? And I hear it from very accomplished women too, and I even experience it myself sometimes, right? And it's normal. But the power and confidence that I got from Ironman has infiltrated everything that I've done. And this lack of confidence that we experience sometimes, and I hear from women sometimes, it could come from lots of places. It could come from staying in your zone of excellence where you feel comfortable and safe. It could come from childhood like it did for me, and anxiety produced from situations in childhood. It could also come from cultural messaging because, you know, as women, we are taught to not make other people uncomfortable. We're taught to stay small and to play small. It might even come from being in a place where you are not ready to get outside your comfort zone. There is an expression, you've probably heard it, that goes, when you want something bad enough, you'll find a way, and when you don't, you'll find an excuse. And that's okay. If you're not ready, you're not ready, but it could come from that. So this power that I got from the Ironman and the way it makes me feel about everything I approach and every challenge I take on, I want that for all women, no matter who they are or where or what they come from. And I want it to start at younger ages with younger girls, your daughters, your nieces and nephews, or nieces and friends that are with you, so that it becomes second nature for us to just feel it in ourselves, and we don't have to wait for someone else to tell us we're powerful. It turns out that we all have this power inside of us. All of us do. But we just don't always know that we do. And sometimes we have to be pushed. And sometimes we need someone else to hold up that mirror to show us what's possible for us and to show us that we're ready and that we're capable. For me, again, it was my 5K running friend who told me, you can do athletic things. She saw it in me. I didn't see it myself. And then it was my first swim coach who said, you can complete an open water swim. And then it was my triathlon, or my Ironman coach, who said, you can complete an Ironman. For my personal brand client, it's me holding up the mirror for her so that she can see that she is ready to ask for that raise, to go for that promotion, to pitch to that big client, or to go after that big speaking engagement. Now, what if I'd never done the Ironman? I think about that sometimes. What would my life be like, and how would I approach challenges if I had never done that race? Because of Ironman, though, I feel like I can literally do anything. I can honestly tell you that I would never have started my business, and I most definitely wouldn't be standing here today had I not completed that race. That gave me such power to know that anything is possible for me to do. Now, on paper, Ironman doesn't at all seem connected to business or speaking. I get that. But I know that it 100% is connected. Because think of all that goes into, even if you've never done an Ironman, think of all that goes into the preparation and the completion of something like that. When you are looking at spending, for amateurs, anywhere from 12 to 17 hours doing something, you are looking at spending a lot of time suffering alone. Lots of time suffering. And as a triathletes, we learn to do something that we call, now it's not pretty, it's called embrace the suck. And what that means is you embrace all the not so fun parts of undertaking this challenge to get to the ultimate reward, which in this case is being called an Ironman. And embracing the suck spills over into so many other areas of your life, like the not so enjoyable parts of starting and growing a business, because you know it's not all rainbows and unicorns, right? So embracing the suck spills over into so many other areas of your life, and when we push outside our comfort zone, or that zone of excellence, you start to see things about yourself that you didn't even know were there. You start to see possibilities for yourself, you gain fulfillment, and then you keep leveling up, and you push yourself to new and break new boundaries of things that you never thought you could do. So you might say to yourself then, well, what can I do to claim my power? Well, I have a very simple answer for you. Just sign up for an Ironman. Done. That's all you have to do. No, I'm kidding. But you could sign up for a 5K. That's a start. Or you could hire someone to help you write that book. Or you could go back to school and get your master's degree or your PhD. There's so many things you could do that could push you in so many other areas of your life, so you just have to get started. So think of something that you've always wanted to do, but you've never really had the nerve to even try, and then just start. You don't even know what it can do to your mind and how it can expand your possibilities. Now, when I was training for Ironman, one thing that I did a lot of was running on the treadmill. Super boring, but the great thing about running on the treadmill is that when you run on the treadmill, you can totally zone out. You don't have to be aware of your surroundings. You can't do that when you run outside. And in running on a treadmill, I would do this little envisioning exercise where I would envision myself approaching the finish line at Ironman, Florida. I would envision myself going down the finisher chute. What does it feel like? What does it sound like? How am I feeling? What am I experiencing? And I would envision myself crossing the finish line. So, if you'll indulge me, I would like to do a little envisioning exercise. So I know you're eating, but I'd like for everybody to close their eyes. So go ahead and close your eyes for a second. Now, imagine there's a door in front of you. And that door is closed. And on the other side of that door is your power. Now, with your eyes closed, go to the door and slowly open it. What do you see on the other side? What do you want to do on the other side? Who do you want to be on the other side? It could be something that you've dreamed about doing since you were young. It could be something that you've seen someone else do that you've always wanted to try. It could be something that you've been thinking about, but you haven't taken that next step. Now, with your eyes still closed, I want you to walk over the threshold to the other side. Now, say to yourself that you have become that. I am an author. I am a performer. I am a singer. I am a speaker. I am an entrepreneur. I am an Iron Man. Now open your eyes, and I'll ask you again, when was the last time you did something for the first time? What could that do for your life? What could you accomplish? Who could you become? Thank you, everybody.